purchasing the ambulance building, the borough's budget, is it in your budget for this year to purchase that building?
No, we did not budget, because there was no thought prior. Remember, the budget was set by the previous council.
Correct.
So they had no intention of helping the ambulance at all, or doing anything with that building. There was just no thought.
So if something else happens in the future, you're gonna do the same thing? Suppose you have to replace the roof on this building, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go out for another loan, correct?
We would have to, yeah. I mean, if something happened to the roof on the building, we had to get
Right,
it up.
but this is an extraordinary expense that you don't have to incur, what I'm trying to tell you.
That's correct.
Okay.
Understood.
What are your future plans for that building? Is there a game plan, what's gonna happen to that building if you buy it?
Yes, the game plan would be that the ambulance should continue to use it if they're in operation.
Okay, at what cost?
That all has to be worked out.
So, you're gonna purchase the building, and you're gonna lease it back then?
Yeah, that would be it.
So why can't the ambulance go out for a loan and get their own loan instead of the borough purchasing?
I could answer that. We've tried. They will not do that unless the borough would be not a co-sponsor, limited
So
liability.
basically the borough is gonna be the bank for another organization.
No. We are purchasing a piece of property from an organization. We're not giving them anything. If we were gonna buy this building, we would be buying it pennies on the dollar. I understand what you're saying, we don't need the building, and that's true.
Right.
But we do want ambulance service in town. I want ambulance service in town. Whether that's the Freeland Northside Community Ambulance, to be quite honest, doesn't matter to me. What I care about is having an ambulance service that's close by.
I agree 100%.
And without that building, where would they go in town?
I have nothing against ambulance service, I just have a problem with financing it when currently, like I quoted before, it says from October of 2023, the last 6 or 7 months, we've been covered 24/7, and I don't think there was a time an ambulance couldn't come to this town.
Yeah,
There was
it's-
three different
response
ambulances.
times. It's the response times.
Okay, I agree with you 100%, Frank. What happens if Freeland ambulance is out of town? Where's your response time go?
It goes to
It's the
mutual
same,
aid.
it's the same as it is right now.
Yes, it goes to mutual aid. That's what the entire state of Pennsylvania is.
Exactly.
Every county has their own municipal agreements that the ambulances have to sign on to.
Correct. So,
Which let me just jump in here to hopefully end this, which is exactly what I was talking about, where we would have a lease agreement with them that would include oversight through either us here on council, our committee for the ambulance, or through an outside board that's independent. The other thing would be making them change their bylaws to have things to be open. So what I'm trying to say is, we're not giving them any money. We're buying a piece of property at less than its market value so that they can try and keep their organization going. If they can't keep it going, we still have that building. It doesn't go away. It doesn't vaporize or anything. So while yes, I do believe that we're doing this partly to help the ambulance, because if we don't do it, they're done. There's no way that they can continue doing anything. But we also lose that property. We lose access to having a place for an ambulance to be in town, or to use it for something else for that matter. But it at least allows that option to still be there. I'm with you. Look, the reason that those documents are available for you in there is because I made us think about it.
Right.
So I understand what you're saying, the ambulance and the numbers and all that stuff, but one thing you have to look at is, you can blame mismanagement and things like that, but what we have to look at is in 2024, municipalities are losing their ambulance systems all over the place. The state, the meeting that they had down there, I unfortunately wasn't able to be there, but looking at the PowerPoint and speaking with them afterwards, it's thousands upon thousands of EMTs, paramedics are getting out. They're closing all over the place. They're all trying to regionalize. Maybe not as bad as it was in Freeland, right? Add the mismanagement to that, okay, whatever. But either way, municipalities are having to chip in all over the place. It's not just Freeland that had to do that.
So, I don't want to keep it too long. The question is if everybody's having a problem getting EMTs to man, where are we pulling these people from to man our ambulance?
They're paying them.
Everybody's paid.
They're not, although,
Valley
they're all
Regional's
starting.
paid, Medical Levin's paid, and White Haven's paid. They're all paid in the area. Don't tell me they're not. I know for a fact they're all paid.
Yes, they
There's no
are now.
volunteers. So where are we in Freeland gonna get the EMTs and the ambulance attendants to run this ambulance?
The ones that we had before, several of them are gone. They've gone to other organizations or other jobs entirely. They still have a core group of about 10 people that are willing to run. 5 of which are medics or PHRNs, and the other 5 are EMTs. But they are paid with 2 exceptions. Okay?
So are you gonna be able to meet the payroll for a whole year?
Yes, we could.
Okay.
Bill, couple.
I'm
Bill,
just saying.
if I may, just so you
Right.
understand. We're trying, I don't want to get into everything that happened at the meeting. If anybody wants, the state meeting with Cabela. It was almost everybody from the region in regards to the ambulances that were there, including like Denison Township and all the other municipalities on that side of the way. Pennsylvania has lost 45% of their EMTs in 12 years. We went from 30,000 down to about 16,000. That's it. When you look at salaries for police and fire, which is what they compared this to, these are not my numbers, it's the state's numbers. Police make about 68,000 a year. Full-time firefighters make about 66,000 a year. That's plus benefits. They were able to pull that information from the state organizations. They couldn't even find out what EMTs and paramedics were made in the state because there's no full-timers anywhere almost, unless you're part of a large city, and then you're generally part of a fire company as well.
Right.
So, on an average, EMTs make about 33,000 a year without any benefits whatsoever. And that's one of the reasons why the numbers are going down. If you recall, years ago, Pennsylvania implemented national registry. So we went from an 80-90% pass rate to a 60-70% failure rate. The last class of EMTs that Lehigh Valley put through was several years ago. They had a 100% failure rate. Because when you take national registry, if you have 3 straps that have to be on, and it's supposed to be middle, bottom, top, and you put on top, middle, bottom, that's a failure. You're done. You're gone.
I don't want to get
So
too much into
the numbers
detail.
are down.
But what you're,
Yes.
what you're saying is, you have 10 people that can walk in the door tomorrow and you could start, if you had the money.
I have 8 right now, 2 that have committed, but I don't have them saying definitely as to availability.
So you have 8 people.
Yep.
If we,
And
if you open the
two
doors
more
tomorrow, you
potentials.
could start.
And 2 more potentials, yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Well, I hope you can do it.
I hope so too, and I'll be very honest with you. The numbers,
Thank you.
the expenses have gone up approximately 75% in the last 10
I heard
years.
it say, yeah. I mean, it's in our.
Insurance companies have increased rates 17%, according to the state. Now, that does not include the raise that just went through for Medicaid, which is a 50% increase, plus the ability to bill for every mile. We're questioning right now if it's every mile transported, or it's every mile going to and from. We don't know that answer yet. But either way, that transport amount used to be 0. So we're just passing it on as a way. Anybody else?
Hi, Debbie Thomas, 801 Foster Street. I'm really concerned about this ambulance issue because many of you that are on council are also on the ambulance board. However, when you sit at this table in this building, your first duty is to the taxpayers of Freeland and not to the Freeland ambulance. I'm all for the Freeland ambulance. My husband was on the board. We were given several months last year to turn it around, and we did not. I don't know why council would entertain buying the building when they couldn't turn it around last year. They had the time. They couldn't do it. I would hope because it is a conflict of interest. And you were saying that if you bought the building, there would be oversight. Well, there couldn't be oversight from this board because of the dual members on both boards. It shouldn't be done. Anybody that serves on the ambulance board and council should not be voting on ambulance issues.
Right, just to speak to that, really
I'm just
quickly.
saying.
So, I just wanna let you know, so no one who is on the ambulance board will be voting, who's also a member of council, will be voting on anything that comes up on the ambulance until and unless the State Ethics Commission says that they can. Because at this point, our solicitor has told us that they are not able to vote in these proceedings, so they will not.
All right, and that's how it should be. But you need to keep in mind, buying that building, that's not in the budget. And you might think you have a lot of money to work with, but you have over half a year left. And things pop up in a borough and you need the money. So I think, I'm hoping you would be financially responsible and really think this through before you buy that building.
So just to touch on that really quick, so to make sure there's understanding on that, the first payment on this loan wouldn't start until 2025, so we have nothing for this fiscal year. The second thing is that we may be able to do away with the ambulance tax if they're able to use these funds and get themselves going. We can remove that. I'm not a big fan of it if it doesn't need to be there. You know, additional taxes on residents. Nobody else does it. I think that point's been brought up by a couple of people. So maybe there wouldn't be a need for that if they become solvent and can move themselves forward.
I have a question. If you're 7 members of the board and 3 of them are on the ambulance, that leaves 4 people here. The mayor is also on the board.
Correct.
Who breaks the vote?
So in that case, the mayor still would be the tie-breaking vote.
Hello?
That- These are the laws that we work with, and I can tell you that I'm not happy about it either in the way that it works, but that's the way that it works.
So
that's
show
the
some
way
spine
we
and
do it.
abstain from voting. Just because you can vote doesn't mean you should.
Well, but he would have to. It's a tie-breaking vote. Somebody has to make
Maybe
that.
that might be for him, but that goes for the rest of you too.
Yeah.
I have a question. If you have 8 members on the ambulance, what percentage of coverage would you have?
I'm sorry, can't hear you.
If you have 8 people on the ambulance, what percentage of coverage would you have?
Approximately 16 to 20 hours a day.
Does it require 2 people in the ambulance?
Yep.
So that includes the driver?
It takes 2 medics covering 6 days a week. Okay? It takes 2 EMTs covering 6 days a week. So that's covering 16 hours right there. So that's 4 people, because basically you're working almost 40 hours.
That includes the driver then?
You cannot just have a driver or an EVOC like you used to be able to have under COVID rules. When COVID rules went away, that went away. You must have a medic and an EMT, or if you're an ALS unit, or 2 EMTs. And right now, in the southern part of the Northeast EMS region, there are actually more paramedics than there are EMTs.
So you're saying you could do 60%? 60%?
No, it would be, 67%, roughly. That's to get started. We would still have to advertise to get more people. You can generally always get a couple people.
I have one other question on the garbage. If you're having the company do the billing for you, and are they taking liability that if at the end of the year, there's $200,000 delinquency in payments?
All on them. They would take over 100% of delinquencies.
Billing minutes.
We don't deal with them.
What happens if they come up 200,000 or 300,000 short? Let's say
He's asking if the people don't pay at all, what happens?
Oh, they handle collections. They stop the garbage service. There's a lot of things that get done to get them to pay. So it's not where we have to go and place a lien on their house. They get them to pay. I don't know I can't speak to exactly what the ways are, but there are quite a few of them here, and it's taken to court and all kinds of stuff.
So we should off the hook.
Yes, they're off the hook for all of that. That's the main, one of the main reasons to go to this. And the other one is so that our borough secretary doesn't have to pull her hair out twice a year
Oh, I
trying to get these
understand that.
bills out. 'Cause it's brutal. Yeah, I'm sure you know all about it.
Okay.
Yep.
Matt Cromack, 39 Berwick Street. I just wanted to remind Mr. Ritchie, maybe he didn't say it the way he wanted to say it, but this council had until February 15th of this year to reopen the budget, do whatever they wanted to do, and chose not to do so. So the way that we phrased it was a little offensive to some of the people sitting in this room. With regard to agenda items, you should be filing liens or you're going to lose options. I know there's a cost associated with it, but doing nothing if the house sells, you might lose that altogether. I have a hard time believing the borough can afford 10 or more flock cameras, especially without reducing the number of officers that we have, especially in future years. There's no valid reason to keep the Yukon. You have 2 practically brand new cruisers plus the code car. I appreciate it if council, maybe the chairman of the police committee, could get an update on the $7,000 body worn camera grant that the borough was awarded on November 4th, 2022. I haven't heard anything in a long time about it. As far as the solar project goes, there's a pending LSA grant application for $250,000, which partially addresses the roof. I would not put anything on top of this roof in the meantime. It also addresses the heating system, and that's usually announced in May. DCNR grant, just be forewarned, they typically won't award grants unless you have a study done. Those studies cost upwards of $20,000 or more. Sometimes you can get a grant for half of it, but it doesn't guarantee you to get anything. Freeland Business Development Authority, it would be great if council